Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring Stormrunner leading the legions of the Wood Elves flooding out from their forests up against RP1733 and the Lizardmen hordes representing the old ones here. Should be a good fun game. Now I wanted to show you guys this replay for one or two reasons. We're actually going to go ahead and pause it very quickly. As you can see, there's a really early engagement that is going to be going on. But mainly it's going to be about composure for the most part, and speaking about a certain lord. So for the front line for the Wood Elves, we do have Eternal Guard with shields dotted all the way along. They are going to be protecting double Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts. Now, Starfire Shafts are very good in this matchup. They have decent AP, and you need to get through those thick, scaly hides of the Lizardmen. These boys can certainly do that, and they're a lot cheaper than Way Watchers and the like, who can get kind of pushed out by chameleon skinks and so forth. In the back lines here, we do have a Spellslinger of Life simply coming in with Earth, Blood and Regrowth, just going to be trying to heal up the troops where possible. So a nice small defensive base here. You can see the array of Lizardmen dotted in front of them. But heading over here in the right-hand flank in the trees, we do have a ton of Wild Riders. So we have Wild Riders here. We have Orion as well riding dirty with them. More Wild Riders, as well as the Wild Hunters of Kurnos coming in with one of the coolest model skins and colour schemes in the game. Looking incredibly badass all round. These guys do come with anti-large as well, so they can go toe-to-toe with those pesky Cold One Riders that he'll no doubt be expecting. We also have double Glade Riders with Hagbane tips, decent AP. They're a pain in the butt basically. They poison you, slow you down, they run around and kind of just, be general nuisances. Now for the Lizardman build, he does have Chameleon Skinks pushing forward in the front line. Fantastic up against the Wood Elves due to their missile resistance as well as their decent damage output to lightly armoured targets. We have Feral Cold Ones dotted down here with double Cold One Riders. Not the Spear Riders, just the basic fellas here, but they can still do a pretty decent job all round. And he's gone incredibly wide, which I am a big fan of. So Skin Cohorts dotted all the way along the front line. Looks like these guys are chevroned up as well. Just try and swarm and harass as many archers as possible, as well as some Saurus Spears as well dotted in the back lines, just to try and tie up Wild Riders and the like. We also have Cold One Spear Riders dotted around, which equally can do very good up against Wild Riders. We have a Skink Priest of Beast down low coming in with the Manticore Summon and a Flock of Doom. We also have a Bastildon with Solar Engine, which again, big fan of in this matchup, and the Poleworx Sentinel. So overall, I'm a massive fan of this Lizardman build for the most part. I think it's certainly got the tools to swarm this small backline and push out the Wild Riders. There is one problem I have, and that is going to be Tic-Tac-Toe, the Lord, for today. Now, I don't want to sound like a hater of Tic-Tac-Toe, but I think he is probably the worst Legendary Lord in the game. We can see his stats here. He has okay stats. Master of Skies is a relatively okay ability as well for a melee defense and plus 24 speed. It's pretty cool. And the Drop Sphere of Teapot can do pretty decent damage, but for the cost, he doesn't really do anything. He struggles to kill casters half the time, can't go toe-to-toe with Lords, can't take down units, and it takes him forever to even get through range 1. So Tic-Tac-Toe, unfortunately, I think is a terrible choice here, but he may be just trying to meme or stunt, who knows. We'll just try him out. Maybe he knows something I don't know. Without further ado, let's hop in here. So the reason I wanted to show this replay, apart from my burning hatred for Tic-Tac-Toe, I am a Lizardman main as well, so I do love all lizards, but is a kind of composure here. So straight out the gate, the Chameleon Skinks noticed that there was a load of Wild Riders here, so Lizardman player reacts by instantly chucking all his units into the forest up against Wild Riders, which is a terrible life decision, because Orion's going to pop Horn of the Wild Hunter, and the Wild Riders are getting a lovely charge onto these unsupported Cold One Riders. The Feral ones have already shattered, and with that lovely bonus, they're going to tear apart these Cold One Riders. They're fighting in the forest, which means the Wild Riders actually gain melee defense, because Wood Elves, of course, fight better in trees, whereas the Cold Ones are going to be getting debuffed because they are cav trying to fight amongst these giant tree trunks and the like. So it was nice reactions, instantly popped on top of the enemy, but you have to have a little bit of composure, pick and choose your targets. He has summoned a Feral Manticore to try and get over there, but unfortunately it's a little bit too little too late, and he's going to have 3 units shattered off the board incredibly quickly here. Feral Manticore is instead going to be going after the Glade Riders, not the worst target. They've even been aiming after Orion here, but Orion, decent bonus versus large. I don't think I actually spoke about him before the game, but Ryan, absolutely badass, of course, coming in with his horn and all his good abilities, as well as Cloak of Isha for that healing, and in come the Cold One Spear Riders. So this is a much better engagement. They're slightly out of the forest, so I don't think this would count as forest. They have Feral Manticore support, they're dropping Flock of Dooms, and this is really kind of the engagement he wanted early on. He's managing to pin him in as well with Saurus Spears, and this has all of a sudden brought the game back into the centre a little bit. If these Wild Riders can be forced off here by a huge burst of damage, a nice Earth Flood has been popped to try and keep these guys alive, but all of the Lizardmen cav have kind of taken a bit of a beating at this point. Frontline engagement has got underway, some nice pressure as well by the skink cohorts, hopping on top of these Glade Guard with Starfire shafts. That's a fire shafts, which doesn't make any sense. Popping in and doing decent work in the backlines, hunting these guys down. Saurus will do it good against Eternal Guard, but the skinks will unfortunately go down. P-Hawk Sentinels have just been on the periphery for the moment, and Gary is popping forward and popping a few shots here and there. Over in the main blob fight though, it looks like the Glade Riders actually got chucked into combat here, trying to break off the Cold One Spear Riders. Quite dangerous though, with Saurus Spears nearby. And Orion, to be honest, can probably tank out most of this. You can see these Cold One Spear Riders have been terrified by the mighty demigod himself. Wild Riders are rallying, dotted all along the place. It looks like no one was unfortunately allowed to hunt these guys down. And they still have a decent wallop to them despite the lack of HP. 26 models here, 21 here, and 23 on the Wild Hunters. Can certainly do some decent job. Now in the main fight, it's going a little bit better for the Lizardmen. But you can see Tic-Tac-Toe up to 990 kills. He's been fighting Eternal Guard. And yeah, hasn't dropped his, or did just drop his sphere, I think. Doesn't look like it's attached to him anymore. But unfortunately, he's basically not been able to do anything here. He can perhaps try and snipe out the Spellstone of Life, but the Pterodons are equally trying to do the same, being forced off by Eternal Guard. Over here in the trees, Glade Riders have taken a bit of a beating, but they're still being used in combat to hammer down these Saurus Spearmen. But it looks like the Wild, it's just more of a distraction to allow the Wild Riders to clear up these Cold One Riders, and they're going to be hopping on to the next one as the Glade Riders do switch targets to the Chameleon Skinks and try and force those guys down as much as possible. Orion whopping 17 kills, not too bad, because he's been going after Cav quite a lot. We do have a Wizard Rule in the trees here as well. Spellsing of Life going after the Skink Priests. Yeah, big Solar Blast is get fired in there, which is some nice targeting, trying to take down the Wild Riders and the like. And their balance power is still relatively even here. Eternal Guard doing okay up against the Saurus Spearmen. Looks like they are getting some missile support now as well by the Glade Guard, as Eternal Guard protect them from these pesky skink cohorts. But it was some nice backline pressure early on as well. Huge fight in the back lines here as Tic-Tac-Toe does get tied up with the Wild Hunter Kronos with a Horn of the Wild Hunt popped and an Earthblood. These guys are going to be destroying the Pohawks and Tic-Tac-Toe. Master of Disguise is active though, keeping them alive. And this is a nice blob for Gary to fire his shots in. Looks like Tic-Tac-Toe though has decided to pick a fight with Orion, King of the Woods, which is not the best idea. He's got anti-large, it's an absolute just beast and a far better melee combatant. It looks like one of those poor Pterodons got annihilated there by the Solar Engine, and Tic-Tac-Toe is reconsidering his life decisions as a warlord, and considering perhaps going back to being a regular skink, as he does get poked to death here. He's terrified, and he's going to be running for the hills. Once again, Saurus Spearmen are they pushing up on top of Cav, which is some nice kind of isolation, I suppose, hopping on top of these guys, but they just have so much more pace, so they're simply going to trot away here and probably go surround the Solar Engine for now. Chameleon Skinks have returned to the fight as well. It looks like in the distance we do have some Glade Riders come back, and it looks like they're clearing up troops kind of on the periphery, which is just some good micromanagement. Spellstone of Life has come back here, but it looks like the Lizardmen do throw in the Tau, which is probably about right. I don't think there was a way back in the game. Spearmen are going to get a lovely engagement up against these Wild Riders here. The majority of their forces are running for the field. So well played to both players there. Thank you, Stormrunner, for sending this in via my Discord as well. It's always good to see two of my favourite factions go at it, the Wood Elves and the Lizardmen. I think it's a matchup which slightly favours the Lizardmen, but it's still a tough one kind of for both factions. Now, as I said previously, I actually really am a big fan of this Lizardman build. I think it was simply kind of the knee-jerk reaction, you know, so there wasn't kind of that coolness under pressure. Spotted the Wild Riders and the Glade Riders in the trees and thinks, right, I've got Cold One Riders, I'm going to pounce on them instantly without kind of considering the fact they're going to be isolated. They're going to be fighting in woods, which of course is the Wood Elf home turf, against superior foes and superior numbers. So kind of throwing away those tools. If he simply pulled them back and pushed forward towards that main engagement, used his Cold One Cav to screen out the Wild Riders, all of them together, not just sending the 2 units and the Feral Cold Ones. So if you had the Spear Riders there to assist as well, I think then pushing forward, easily managing to run over that front line of Wood Elves and Glade Guard, he would have been in a super good position. But very well played to Stormrunner for taking advantage of that, hopping on, isolating those targets and picking them apart. Real MVPs here are the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. 107 kills, taking down Cav as well. With the Horn active from Orion, they just do such good work and really fantastic stuff all round. And unfortunately, Tic-Tac-Toe, I do love you, my buddy, my Tic-Tac-Toe, but unfortunately, in my opinion, he is the worst Lord in the game, and that is worse than Gorse. Maybe it's level with those two, actually. Maybe that's a bit harsh on our Flying Skink. Occasionally, on a good day, he can isolate and take out a caster. but that's on a good day. Sometimes he gets bad RNG and he can't even really do that. Apart from that, he doesn't really have any utility or uses. I'm not sure how they can fix him to make him a little bit better. But, you know, he's a fun lord to bring every now and again anyway. Alright guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.